all iPad.
Okay.
It would be interesting for me to know. I understand that those two companies happen to have a broad cross-licensing agreement, so that generally you would expect them to cross-license to each other.
Okay.
But there may be some special arrangements for this stuff because that's all new or newer. Some of it's new. But Microsoft has multi-touch patents that I understand go back in the 90s. So that there's been a lot of development over the years on exactly these things. I know that one of Gates' original views of the PC world was that input is too cumbersome and that it should be more natural through interfaces. And so
Well, that's what we feel we've done here. It's much more natural to use your fingers, no keyboard and mouse.
So, you know, there's voice and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Therefore, that work has clearly been underway for more than a decade.
Sure.
The question that I have really is, who owns that? Who owns the pieces of it? Any sense of that?
Well, I think, not my job to speculate on what Apple
Don't worry about
or
that.
anybody else owns as patents. We clearly have a large patent portfolio in a lot of different areas. And we have some, patents on some of the technologies that are here, and we've done, obviously, Microsoft as a company, we have a lot of patents. So I'm not really, one to speculate on where we have our patents or where we don't.
Right.
It's
clear to me that the legal guys are going to have to.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I mean, and they
see. All right. When you think about capacitive systems, they're used to getting an XY coordinate, right? And so XY coordinate would just tell me there's a finger here. Now, if you look over here, Roger, this is a debug screen.
Okay.
So this is actually what we see on the surface. So we see multiple hands, right? I can kind of tell that I'm married here, right? I can see that down there. We did this demo. I can see we moved some of the stuff around. Where's the I can see from?
Oh.
Here it is.
Yeah.
So Roger,
You actually got an impression of the card. Look at that.
well, look at this. See this?
Yeah.
Okay, so I put that down. What does it say?
Yes, right.
It says I can see.
Right.
Right.
See through the paper.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So with the Pixel Sense technology,
Yeah.
we're processing all the information that's here.
Right.
Like I said, LCD outputs at 60 frames per second, but
Right.
we're also inputting at 60 frames per second, and the Pixel Sense technology is processing everything it sees here.
Mm-hmm.
So why is that important? It's important because it enables other scenarios that you don't see in other form factors. You and I
Yeah.
can sit here together.
Right.
We can do over 50 points of touch at once. The only thing that really limits us is your and I's elbows, right, in terms of how many fingers we can put down and it responds. But let me show you why our customers get excited about this. One of the demos that we'll show you here today is from Red Bull.
Yes.
You familiar with Red Bull?
I pretend not to be.
Pretend not to be. Okay, so let me pretend you don't know, and I'll talk to you about Red Bull.
Yeah.
So Red Bull, they go off and they create all this crazy content from these events that they sponsor and these teams that they sponsor.
Right.
I should note this is a pre-production unit, so we're still tweaking some of the firmware, so it's not always working. So let's imagine, Roger, you and I went up to one of these snowboarding events. Myself, I'm kind of a grumpy old man skier, but let's imagine we went to a snowboarding event.
You don't look like a very old man.
And you and I decided, hey, let's go down to the lodge and let's get something to drink.
Right.
So this is a special Red Bull event. They put these units up, and they have this app running. Not so interesting in and of itself, but you like Red Bull, so we go grab a special Red Bull can for these events. We put it down, and using the tag that's on the bottom, it comes up with this experience where.
Just take a look at the tag quick. Okay.
So you put it down there. Yeah, sometimes still working a little bit on the firmware. Well, where did it go?
Let me ask real quick. Is this going to be as thick as the table's going to be, or is it going to actually thin up a little bit?
Right now it's 4 inches thick, right? But all it is an LCD screen with a computer underneath it.
Right.
So we can get thinner.
You could remote the computer. Yeah.
What's that?
You could remote the computer.
Right. So what this does is it brings up this experience where I can pull out these videos that they've taken at all these events, right? Well, I see the tags are being a little bit flaky here. Let's try this other can. So we pull out one of these videos here.
Cliff diving.
Cliff diving, right? I myself personally, I don't do a whole lot of cliff diving.
Yeah, I was going to say cliff diving is way cool.
Now, this might be interesting for one person, right? But imagine us sitting in the lodge around this table, right? We want to put the other can down here, right? And it brings up a different set of experiences, Red Bull Racing. Okay? So now you can be watching the cliff diving because you're crazier than I am. You like to cliff dive, and I'm going to go off and watch this video, and both of us can be interacting.
I'm going to take over, man. Yeah,
there you go.
Forget about you.
That's right.
Oops, mine just disappeared.
Yeah. Well, as I said, we're still fine tuning it. Well, yeah, when you create a new technology like Pixel Sense, there is some firmware type stuff we have to continue to tweak.
Yes.
So Another thing we've been working on here is we've created a Bing application, and it is still in a beta state as well. And so what we eventually will be able to do is do sort of a Bing search on the things that are local around you. But in this case, we've done something kind of fun for Vegas where we've taken a poker chip, right? And let's say you wanted to put this down. Oh, it's going to go search for whatever O
Whatever I
is.
said, yeah.
Yeah, so
Go
who
away.
knows what that'll come up with. But they'll take a poker chip and put it down here. Okay, tag's still a little bit jittery. And it comes up with a pre-canned search for Las Vegas, right? Because we put this tag on it and
Right.
Vegas. So you could see someone like Sheraton or someone might do that. Eventually we'll have maps in local in this application. So you can think of it being used in other hospitality in type places like the Sheraton Hotel. So you can't type it, but we're sensing your sleeve there. All right, we got to continue to fine tune the pixel sense so we don't see your sleeve. But we could go in there, go ahead and type something in.
Do you rotate by hitting the? There. Okay.
Get around, get around.
Yeah.
What do I have to do?
Let's get rid of that here. Go ahead and type in.
I don't know what, CES or something.
Sure. Oops. Yeah, it's getting a little bit. Yeah, go back here.
Yeah, it's
There you go.
jumping some. All right.
Nope. Well, there we go. No, that was the wrong thing.
Oops.
Let's try this again here. It's sensing your.
Right.
we
Sensing
go to CES?
my
Yeah, we're still
ambivalence
working.
about being at CES.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Yeah,
it's
so there's
sophisticated.
some stuff that Bing search came back with CES. We also have this kind of interesting thing where we'll take this shoe, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you can put the shoe down, and you go ahead and you do search now, and we come up with this standard search we've done for
shoes. They
shoes.
kind of look like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So, one of the other pieces of feedback we got from customers was, and we'll go ahead and close this out, Roger.
Turn them over.
You can do all kinds of things. But the other piece of feedback we got was people wanted to have it in a different form factor, right? They wanted to be able to have their own legs. You see here we have custom legs. What we showed in the keynote were custom legs. They also wanted to be able to do it vertical. So when working with Samsung, we'll walk over here to the vertical, Roger, that's right. With working with Samsung, we've enabled the vertical experience as well. Standard Visa mount, okay? So you can mount it on the back where your personal information might be on the screen, all X'd out, but the presence of this visor, right, would be something where now I can see that information, my own personal information, and these guys aren't actually able to see it by looking over my shoulder.
Right.
So another thing here, I don't know if you've read about the Garibaldi scroll, or actually Garibaldi panorama. Have you heard about that? So Brown University has this Garibaldi panorama, and what it is, the university unrolls it once a month.
I'm getting ahead of you here.
That's all right. They unroll it once a month, and the people that love art get to see it. But it's also a problem when you have something that's made in 1860 to continue to show people this scroll. You can go ahead and jump to other scenes up here if you like. And you can also zoom in. Go ahead.
Oops.
Yeah.
Right. So you can see it. Yeah, and this is giving you what the panels would be or something like that.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so there's a museum in there's a British museum that actually has this, and so people can come in and actually look at the scroll, and they can zoom through, and they can see information about it. So this is an application that was ported over to Surface V2 from Surface V1, as are the rest of them you saw there. And we've enabled some tools that make it very easy for our development partners to port it over. Really the biggest change they have to worry about is the visual assets and the aspect ratio that's changed.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So Garibaldi was some like Italian general or something?
You know, I'm not an art expert, but my understanding was, you know, he's a well-known artist who, in this era, built these panoramas. There's several people that.
So yeah, I'm gonna take a couple of notes.
Sure. But for us, I mean, we've had this vision of making walls and tables come alive, and we believe that, you know, by creating this in a 4-inch thick product that can then be, you know, it can be embedded into other furniture if you like. It can obviously be put up on the wall, and it can be vertical. And you have the flexibility of your own legs. You know, we believe that enables us to continue to pursue our vision of making walls and tables come to life.
Yeah.
That's a
Well, so maybe while we're here,
Sure.
I could ask you a couple other questions.
You
Let
bet.
me just get a couple of things. So the current price point you said was about $7,500,
$7,600.
$7,600,
Yes.
and it is half of what it was.
Half of what it was,
Yeah.
and we believe it drives great value for our commercial customers who as well. So it's not just when you have a person here and there's nothing going on over there, but it's when everybody's there, right? We have the
Right. So you can-
capability to process all of it at one time.
So what were the limits to, or the, recommended limits in terms of, let's say how many cans you could see, how many?
You know what? There really is no limit in terms of number of touches, except the physical number of hands you can get on the screen.
Yeah.
Right, and how you can crowd over there. But we have, we like to say we can support more than 50 at one time. We don't spend a lot of time testing above that, but we know from watching kids get around these things, and I don't know if you saw the Smithsonian demo. Smithsonian built these cool apps for kids where they have these objects allow them to zoom in. They can use a flashlight, and they see these fish suddenly appear. And the kids are just mobbing this thing,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
And so we're actually able to interact with that really, really well across the stuff. You guys have a lot of fun over there. This is a cool thing or what?
This is very cool. We're actually really
Yeah.
excited about this.
Yeah?
Bummed
That guy
that
up there looks a little familiar. Is that you?
not quite.
Not
no.
quite. From this distance, though, it actually...
Hold on, let me expand that for you.
Oh, you're right.
There we go. No, this is really exciting stuff.
What do you think?
I love it. Bummed that it's not under 5,000. You can't do that.
The APIs we provided are focused on WPF, but any managed language can be supported.
I guess the other thing is, what am I doing here?
You know what, Ross? I'd love to be able to tell you that I play this all the time, but I don't. So this one is somehow you use these guys. You take these guys
Oh, so
out.
it's like a tower defense thing, I think.
Yeah,
And
it
they
is.
start-
That's
they
what
start shooting,
that's what
yeah.
it is, and then you.
So
now-
hopefully
now
I
you
haven't.
can
You're
move your
defending
guy
your world
out.
there.
Supposedly you can-
Really bad placement with this one. I mean, get this guy in a little smarter spot. There we go.
Yeah, we're still have some tweaks to do in the firmware. We still got a ways to go here in terms of getting that exactly right and getting that, just nailing that experience.
But he started the game, so it's not going to recognize you, actually, right?
Oh.
Brad,
No, he
didn't you
started.
initiate it?
He
Oh,
started.
okay.
Oh, so it's actually fingerprint, so I can't use the same fingerprint.
Well,
or
it's not.
I can?
It's not biometric, but they are doing some things where they're
Where you're
actually able
sitting.
to
Yeah.
figure out from where you're sitting in
I've
the
only been
angle.
able to launch this one thing.
I think there's actually only certain things you can launch by designing the game. I think it's not a touch issue.
We also have there's a money issue too.
Oh yeah.
You only have 16. But
Oh.
maybe you can sell that, get something. Yeah, I'm trying to figure this
I'm
out
gonna
too.
resign.
Things and-
Can I resign?
You can
Let
get
me
a hold.
out.
You gotta hold it. It goes across. There it goes.
All right, I've failed.
Okay.
Oh, and you guys, I'm sorry, but we're going to have to.
No.
You're gonna kick
wrap
us
it
out?
up. I am. I'm so
All right,
sorry.
I feel bad, but off you go.
Well, thank you guys for coming. I hope you liked what you saw. We're definitely excited about it, and we think we've got a great product here with Samsung, and we look forward to continuing to make walls